Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. And it has finally happened, people. It is true. I've taken over the show. So from now on, it is a Dom Wonderland. It's going to be about an hour and a half of me talking and agreeing with myself. I have fortunately brought along a few cheerleaders for the ride, though. So, Danny, how's the Asperger's going, mate?
I've got 14 versions, but they're all lined up, and then I call them naughty names. That's all I do, and then I blame myself, and then hide in a cupboard and cry for a week.
There's a new episode of Family Guy out at the moment that's got a little Asperger's skit in it for you, so look out for that one.
I will do.
He's very good. He's very good.
I love that show.
Next up, for the 10-time running Wales Bachelor of the Year, Mr. Jason Davis. What's doing, Jace? Speak to me.
You right, pal?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. Yeah, tidy.
Just tuning Danny's mum before the show. Just smooth.
Don't you talk to my old man like that, Jason? I'm not having it.
Look, hey, let's all calm down now. I was just being pleasant to Mrs. Sweetman.
Oh, you've done it
nice
again.
lady.
You've used my surname. I have to go and edit that out. It's going
Oh,
to be top secrets. Okay, just don't keep saying my surname.
stop
No
being
one
so
heard.
tart.
Yeah, no one's listening. It's okay.
It was a pleasure to hear you and see you at work, Jace. I wrote notes as you were.
I was just being nice and listening to the lady.
Yeah, that's not how I do it. Next up, we've got some blogging royalty. Goonerholic. How's things, Dave?
Excellent, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me along again.
That's
Looking
all
forward
right.
to tonight. We've got quite a little panel here, haven't we?
Yeah, all the A-listers. That's how we roll here. Just so you're having a sneaky little beverage as we go too. Just
All the
relax
A-listers
into
and
things.
me.
Perfect. And lastly, some bloke I found on Twitter. Not sure anyone knows him yet, but we've introduced a swear jar for tonight because he's just been on a roll with dropping the F-bombs. Mr. Geoff Arsenal.
You hear, how the devil are you, Dominico?
I'm very well. How's things with you?
That's the first time I've seen you, well, not in the flesh, but you look like you could do with a surfboard, mate. A surfboard suits
Yeah.
you fine.
I've never heard that, actually. No one's
Really?
ever said that before. No, it's the first time I've heard that.
I see in the background there you've got a little bit of product placement. I like that.
Yeah, I've got a couple floating around the place. I brought them over with me. I'm just taking over Vancouver slowly. So first it's the podcast, then it's the whole country. So here we go. All right, so we're going to crack into it. We're just going to have a bit of a chit-chat about what's been going on with all things Arsenal. All in all, it's been a pretty decent couple of weeks, Geoff.
Yeah, it certainly has, isn't it? Mainly good, but a bit of a dodgy result the other night. But I'm sure we'll discuss that over the next few minutes.
So you missed out on the Manchester United and Bayern Munich wins. You didn't get to do any gloating. So if you want to take the floor for a minute or two and get it out of your system before we start.
I let the ball do the work. Let the boys do the stuff on the pitch. I mean, it was fantastic, wasn't it? And it's good that we can play them big teams and turn them over. And it's funny that I don't know whether you guys saw the Vine that. About the Bayern Munich vine that someone put out in the last podcast about it's only Bayern Munich we can beat, and we've done it before, and it's true to say that come good for me, thank God.
Oh, that was Pixel Rapture who did a Vine of you, your caricature, going,
Yeah.
it's all right, we can beat them, part life, like that. Absolute, well done, Pixel, well done.
Fantastic. It was
I
brilliant.
did see that. That was very good. So if I've learnt anything over the last couple of weeks, it's that we can beat anyone in the world, and we can sure as shit lose to anyone in the world. All right, so what's that?
Ever was it thus?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. All right, so let's have a little chit chat about the Everton game. A little 2-1 victory for us at home. What do you think, Jace?
Everton, to be honest, the weather didn't help it, did it? But it was an exciting game of football, to be fair. I thought it was a great finish by Ollie Giroud for the opening goal. The boys just he's cracking on with the form he's shown in recent couple of weeks, and then to go straight back up and Lauren Koscielny to grab another header. I don't know what was happening with the Everton defence, but fantastic, 2-0 up, and then not so long afterwards they grab one back, and it's back and forth. It's 100 mile an hour, hear 'em, scare 'em. Gareth Barry's trying to kick everyone on the pitch. To be fair, I thought he did a very good job of that. I was very proud of him. It was a game we could have easily just as easily have lost, if you know what I mean. But the boys saw it out. I thought everybody was decent. It must have been a tough ask to get up for that after beating Bayern Munich. You know, you got the high of beating Bayern Munich, and then right back to sort of your bread and butter. But they did it well, and bloody enjoyable game of football. To be fair, you know, it was really. It's what you enjoy watching. It was up and at them. Both teams having a go, and I thought both teams were really decent. To be fair, but we were a bit more decent than them.
Yeah. Do you think that we deserved the win, Dave, or do you think that Everton deserved to get something out of that?
That was one of the things that made Jason was talking about what a good game it was, and one of the things that made it that. Let's be fair, Everton don't normally come to our place with such a counter-attacking outlook or an aggressive outlook, if you like. I thought they had probably two really good chances in the second half to get something out of it. Whether they deserved it, no, I don't think so. When you think about Giroud hitting the bar, he went close with another one, didn't he, when Bellerin whipped one over. It was, I thought we were good value for the 3 points, but it was a very different game from the Munich game, which you discussed last week anyway. But being straight after it, to go from where we were the side that was sitting deep to then we're the side that's got to take the game to the opposition again, I thought we handled that very well, and it was a very impressive performance by the midfield, and I thought by the back four as well.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see us doing a bit of tactical stuff, Geoff.
Yeah, you know what? It's nice to see, and I've said it before, it's nice to see an Arsenal team that doesn't mind relinquishing possession. So giving teams a chance to come and attack us rather than us all the time playing on the edge of the opposition's box and just tippy-tappy, going side to side, and it's very, very monotonous. It's nice to, all right, fair enough, you can have the ball for a little bit now, see what you can do, invite them on, let them come at us for a little bit, and that's when when you got players like Bellerin and Sanchez, nippy players like that, you do get chances to go around the outside of them. And you know what? To be honest with you, I think we was very comfortable in that game. The way we play our football, we do unfortunately give teams a few chances. That's just the way we are. Our attacking game is always going to leave a little bit open for teams to come and counter us on occasions. But you know what? I think we was in control of the game, and I think we could have really won it by a little bit more, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But like Jason said, it is difficult with the players. You've got that euphoria of beating Bayern Munich in the week, and then you come down to a general Premier League game. And you got to turn up and do the business, and that is what makes champions. That when they can transfer from one massive big competition, the euphoria of that competition, beating a big team, one of the best teams in Europe, to playing an Everton team or a good side. Don't get me wrong; they're always very, very well organised. They're always as fit as you may be, but a little bit of quality does tell in the end. And for 10 or 15 minutes during that game, I think we done enough to win the game.
Yeah, I took a couple of things out of that game. Captain Obvious over here. Petr Cech seems to be a pretty good goalkeeper, Danny.
I reckon we should play him every game. The bloke looks a little bit special. Everton were unlucky. I was just looking now at the start of their season. They beat Southampton 3-0 at Southampton, which is... am I shouting because I've got both my ears covered? No, okay. Then they beat Everton. They beat Chelsea 3-1 at home, and then they beat West Brom 3-2 away. So they're one of those teams that they seem to have a really good season, like last season. Then they have a rubbish season. Then they have a good season. So I've been there with my mate Dean when we beat Everton 7-0, and he was laying on the floor behind me, slapping the floor, screaming because they'd made it into the UEFA Cup. And I've also been there when Everton have done us, because over the last few years they have done us a few times. But that game we had 20 shots on goal compared to their 10. But on target we only had 5 each. And so looking at the score of 2-1, you think, it was a bit of a close game. But like Geoff was saying, I think we deserved more out of that game. That Ross Barkley's goal was a deflection off of, was it Gabriel? It went off his arse. Yeah, so I nearly said Paulista there because that's what it says on this site I'm looking at. And yeah, so I think we could have easily won by more. We should have won by more, but I think the weather had such a massive impact on it. I thought I sat at home watching the game with the offspring and sat in front of my heater, and I went, times like this, I'm glad I don't go anymore because it is horrendous game to watch, horrendous weather, and then a 2.5-hour drive home in the rain in a convertible is never good.
Oh, Danny, it was a great game to watch.
Well, maybe for the neutral, but I hate it when games are so close, and the weather will cause you to have more mistakes than not. So if I wasn't an Arsenal Everton fan, I'd go, fuck, this is brilliant, typical English winter game. That's why I'd have loved that, but I was just the couple of times they could have scored. If that could have finished 2-2, it could have finished 3-2 to them. It could have finished 5-0 to us. I don't like games where it's so uncertain that I think we could win or lose at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, but come on, football's not about going out and winning every game, is it? It's
not
about
your Arsenal. It's not. No, it might come across Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, but everybody assumes we're just gonna. I know we've had our hard times this season with a couple of games and what have you, especially this week. But you want a bit of excitement in the game. And to be fair, I thought defensively we were pretty solid. I know they had a couple of efforts on goal, but we looked really good. And as you said about Czech, there is a vast difference in his quality and to the quality of the keepers we've had over the last few years. Since Lehman, it's been bang average, to be honest with you. Talent, yes.
That's a bang average at a push with some of them.
Yeah.
Like Clown Mooney. Jesus, what went wrong there? Everything.
Poor bugger,
Jerry Payton, that's what went wrong there.
Yeah, but Jerry Payton came with Lehman. And Lehman's invincible. So, you can't have it all ways, can you?
Wasn't it when we had Shami Raban?
Rami Shaban.
Didn't he say that he did work with Jerry Payton and he was a bit standoffish? He didn't really get involved that much.
No, apparently Bob Wilson.
Bob
Wilson was just superb with them, and Rami was saying that Jerry was a different character, but he worked with Lehman, and Lehman is ultra professional, and he demanded everything of everyone. So it's easy, it's easy to throw stones at people, but we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, do we?
Well, I do. I have my ear up against the wall. Dave, because you've been an Arsenal fan longer than any of us, what's your top 3 Arsenal goalkeepers in first to third? I'd like everybody to answer that.
Okay, simple enough. First one would have to be David Seaman, I think. Second might surprise 1 or 2, but I don't think so. Pat Jennings. When you think we bought him, he was 32, I think, when we bought him, and he gave us 7 years. Tottenham thought he was finished. So he'd be there. Number 3 would be a toss-up. There's a kind of aura about Lehman that you like, the kind of craziness, but then he was prone to the odd sort of error that Bob Wilson never used to make. So I think Bob Wilson. John Lukic comes into it, doesn't he?
Oh, that was my special one.
Yeah, I loved him. I couldn't understand why we bought David Seaman at the time.
He made a few rickets as well, didn't he, though, John? But your goalkeepers do, didn't they? Lukic did make a few rickets, didn't he?
Yeah. I was just about to bring that up, Geoff, that we even saw the great Manuel Neuer go full Neuer against us and cost him a goal. So it happens to the best keepers in the world. But the thing is with the top guys, it's an exception to the rule. They're going to make a mistake here or there. It's a difficult position. But the mistakes that we'd been over the last couple of seasons with Fabianski until he came good and Almunia, that they were just so regular that it was nearly once a week.
Going back to the question, shall I go next? I would like to say, much the same really as Dave. I think safe hands, David Seaman has got to be number 1 for the obvious reasons. But one of the best goalkeepers maybe I've ever seen. 2, Pat Jennings, definitely. Different class, like Dave said. I think we got £40,000. I think we nicked him off of Tottenham for. We had about 7 or 8 years out of him, and he was absolutely world class. And you know what I was saying? I said this to Rami Shaban. Dave, I know the ball's different than everything else now, but every single shot, he used to just catch it, didn't he? Can you remember, Dave? He'd catch it.
Yeah. He'd cut crosses with one hand.
But the size of his hands.
Yeah. They were shovels.
Like shovels, wasn't they? Yeah. And I used to like as well. I used to like Jimmy Rimmer. He had plenty of character, a great goalkeeper.
He's only with us for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's right. I suppose the third one has got to be. I suppose it's got to be Jens, isn't it? Really, I would say lunatic, but it was great value, and but the invincible. So you've got to put him in there, I reckon. Jace,
right, boys. I can't believe you haven't mentioned him. I can't believe it. I'm ashamed of you all. The number 1 Arsenal goalkeeper ever is Jack Kelsey, simply because he's Welsh. Okay?
Did you see him play that often then, did you?
I've never seen him play other than black and white film, but I don't care. I'm true to my nation. Seaman and Lehman, to be honest, I've got vague memories of Jennings, and but but Jennings, Wilson, the top quality, the top quality keepers. But Jack Kelsick's a Welshman, and Seaman, because he was
If you
just.
say John Hartson, I'm leaving.
No, I can't. No, I can't. Sorry, but I thought Mad Jens gave us a bit of an edge at the back. I think he's a bit underrated in the way, he would bark orders at that back four. They were on edge. Seaman's a very different character and a wonderful goalkeeper, but yeah, you've got a bottle to play in that position. I mean, you've got to be slightly bonkers, to be fair. So, Danny or Dom, which one of you two wants to go next?
Go on, Tom. Age before beauty.
Tom.
I said Dom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good on you.
I thought you were Tom. Behave yourself.
All right. I would go Seaman, Lehman, and third I will go Emiliano Viviano. He was on loan for a season. Was he on loan the season we won the FA Cup the first time?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and he celebrated like he'd played every game, but he never actually played at all. So that's why I like him. Danny?
Well, David Seaman first, absolute class bloke. I met him at his testimonial. He signed. It's the only person who's ever signed my program, and I didn't ask him to. We were talking about fishing, and he opened my program up to the middle. I said I've caught 3 fish in my entire life of fishing. He said that's the biggest one I've caught, and he signed the fish in the middle of the program. So he's just a class goalkeeper. Everything about him, and you know that he can't be a goalkeeping coach at Arsenal or anywhere, because the way that the FIFA work, you've got to do your outfield license early part first before you can do your goalkeeping one, and he basically said no. So Seaman first. Second, Petr Cech. I think already he's the second best goalkeeper we've ever had. He's brilliant. Jens Lehmann third, for the same reasons you said. But I think I put Cech ahead of Lehmann because Cech isn't going to run out and try and clothesline anyone at any point or go for a wee behind the boarding while the game is playing. So or walk around the stadium for an hour lost, asking people where the bus has gone.
You see, to me, they're bonus points. That's why you've got to put Lens ahead.
And then I want to give a special mention, like Dave was saying, to John Lukic, who twice signed for Arsenal, still playing for us, I think, at 41 in his second spell for us. He had 2 spells at Leeds, 2 spells at Arsenal. And I don't think he ever got a testimonial. And it would have been nice to have seen an Arsenal Leeds testimonial, because that was back in the days when we shared a manager, we shared players, we shared everything. And it would have been nice to have had him. So I think he deserves a mention, because I think he was a key part of the of Arsenal being great back in the early days. And I'm surprised, talking about Welsh goalkeepers, that Jace didn't mention. Is it Reece Weston? Reece Wilmot. That's it. Wilmot. He was our backup goalkeeper in the about 86, 87.
I remember. But to be honest, but look, John Lukic was a great keeper, wasn't he? He was so solid. It says a lot about him. If it wasn't for the fact Seaman came in, he'd been our number 1 for years. He was top quality and a title winner.
Didn't he? Yeah, he won the title with Leeds as well, didn't he? In Division 2, 1, whatever they call it. I'm sure that.
Yeah, just before we came to the Premiership.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right.
And then I think he also won Division 2 with Leeds before he joined Arsenal. Or did he? I think he left Leeds when they got relegated and came to us, and then he went back to them when they were in the second division. And didn't they win the second division, and then a year later or 2 years later win the first division?
Yeah. Gordon Strachan was playing, isn't it? Howard Wilkinson was managing.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the gist of it. Or no one will know anyway. They don't care.
Yeah. All right, you bunch of fannies. Let's get back to things current. We've got the other talking point I wanted to bring up from Everton is Oxlade-Chamberlain on the right wing. So give me a bit of a few thoughts, Danny, on what you think of his performance. There's a lot of people that weren't really too impressed with how he performed.
We signed him at, 16 years old, because we couldn't play him for a while until he reached his 17th birthday. He's the only experience he's had playing football other than Arsenal is in League One with Southampton. And I remember one game he was playing against Peterborough, and I saw it's on telly recently, and he was tiny, teeny, weeny, but boy did he look good. And see, people need to remember the thing that not only is he coming in he's been at the club virtually his entire adult life, that he hasn't had the opportunity that almost every other young player that's been at the club to go and be a first-team regular somewhere. He's learning his experience game by game as a substitute. Now, you may play 5 games as a substitute, but that isn't going to equal 1 game as a start. So he should have gone out on loan ages ago. Look how it did for like Jack Wilshere, and Theo was come to us. He played, I think, Championship football, maybe even, I don't know about Premier League football, but people need to remember that he's learning his game at a much slower rate because he's not a regular starter. Now, if you give him 10 games in a row, which we can't justify that at the moment, especially now that he's injured off, the hiccups. But you have to remember that he's learning his game slowly. He hasn't been out on loan, and I think that could end up being a bit of a problem for him. Because if he went to a mid-table Premiership team for half a season, he'd do a Jenkinson. He'd turn out to be one of the best players in that team, and then people would be going, "God, why did we let him go out loan on the first place?" I think people are too harsh on him. He loses the ball a lot, but everything is a very steep learning curve for the bloke. But he's been, well, I think you were saying that the number. No, it was me that I was thinking the number of goals. I think he's got 5 goals in 26 games for England, and I think he's got 13 goals in 130 games for Arsenal. Roughly, I'm not reading that anyway. That's from memory. So he's got twice as many goals for England as he has for his club. I mean, the ratio, which is just shows that when he plays for England, he tends to play in a slightly more attacking role. I think it's just a hard one, but I think people just give him time because he is going to turn out to be a very good player.
What do you think, Jace?
Look, the guy's got a cracking attitude. He loves the club. He's got all the talent in the world, to be honest with you. The one thing him and Kieran Gibbs are the same in my opinion on this. Their concentration levels aren't where they should be. Decision making is not great all the time. He wants to take on the world. He wants to do it. You won't find a more can-do player in our squad. The boy is just, he's got a cracking attitude. But his application and his decision making leave a bit to be desired. And whether that's down to concentration levels, whether it's down to enthusiasm, I don't know. I just genuinely don't know. But he has to work that out for himself. Now, whether a sports therapist, or a sports psychologist, whatever you call them, can help him, I would have thought the club would have him seeing one anyway. But somebody's got to help him with decision making. He's only 22. He's got loads of time. But when he comes back from injury, we need him doing the business now. And so he's got to sort that part of his game out, if you know what I mean.
Well, that is the concern for me, is that you've got a situation at the moment where we're second in the table. Whose phone's ringing?
Mine, sorry.
Second in the table at the moment. We've got a squad with superstar players that are all in their prime. Our centre-backs are looking good. Ozil, Sanchez in their prime at the moment. Cazorla's playing well in midfield. Are we in a position where we can afford to have someone make mistakes while they're learning, Geoff?
You're going to get that with the Ox. It's not only the Ox. I mean, you look at the massive wealth of experience that Alexis has got. He gives it away far more than the Ox. Don't you worry about that. He should be more careful with the ball. With regarding the Ox, I think the lad's he's got it all. He really has. Every time he gets the ball, he's so attacking minded. He's so offensive. He's one of them players that he does excite you. He gets the ball, and the first thing he does, he wants to go forward. He wants to attack the defender. He's always forward thinking. He's like Danny said. He's played 88 Premier League games for Arsenal now. I've just seen that. That's a lot of games. But he started very, very young. I don't see no problem with him. You can't have all 11 players on the pitch on their game all the time. You are going to have a few, right? And I think he's been another one. Him and Debussy are the latest 2 that are getting all the stick, rather than Giroud and a couple of others over the last few weeks. So everyone's giving him a hard time. I think it's very unjust.
You bring up a good point, Geoff, about Alexis giving the ball away a lot. And for me, if there was a reason people were wondering why Aaron Ramsey was starting on the right, then that's it. Because I've heard the manager talk before about balance, and he even made a comment recently about having Santi Cazorla in the middle because he likes the way that he can control the game. And we know that the way that we play is all about control. And if you have Alexis on one side giving the ball away and Oxlade-Chamberlain on the other side giving the ball away, I don't think you can afford to do that. And clearly, Alexis is a more accomplished, better player than what Oxlade-Chamberlain is, which is why I think that Ramsey's been getting the nod on the right-hand side, because he's just a bit more of a safe bet and he's a little bit better for our team balance. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're probably right about why he plays, but the problem with having Ramsey out on the right-hand side is the lack of cover that Bellerin gets, and it leaves him a little bit exposed, whereas at least the Ox does get back. I mean, he doesn't actually get himself into tackles or anything too many times, but he does do well covering the space back there, so that affords Bellerin some degree of protection. With regard to the original question now about the Ox, I fully agree with Geoff. I don't think there's such a huge problem with him. He's got to work at his distribution. There's no doubt about that. But as a player, I like him. I like his attitude. I like the way he wants to take the ball forward. He is one who could develop into, I don't want to say a second Alexis, but a second that type of player. A couple of years' time, he could be wonderful for club and country.
I think I kind of agree. I think that it's his end product. He does all of these great things and then gets to the final third, and his final pass is the wrong pass, or it goes awry, or he'll shoot when he shouldn't be shooting and should be passing, or it's that decision making, and that's obviously going to come with experience, Jace.
Yeah, but he's only 22. It's very difficult. He hasn't really been a first team starter on a regular basis. The guy's going on talent alone. As Danny said, he's not had a chance to get real experience under his belt. But he has played a number of games for the Arsenal, hasn't he? I mean, he's got to be up there now in. Let's have a quick look.
88 Premier League games.
88. Okay, that's pretty decent. But his decision making, I find, at times is atrocious. If we go back couple of years to Wenger's 1000th game, where he gets Gibbs sent off with the not his fault, obviously. I mean, he was going to get sent off with sticking his arm out instead of diving with his arms down by his side for that shot on target, etc. And then you go back to the Olympiacos game where he's almost turning his back on the ball before it's even been shot. I know these are in defensive situations, but they kind of highlight, really poor decision making. Almost sort of rush of blood to the head, and he's no better on the attack at times. But when it comes off for him, he's fabulous. He's a real talent, and I want him to do well. I really want to see the best of him, because I think if he could calm himself down, if he could sort of just be a little colder in his thought process and a bit calmer under pressure. He doesn't have to do it all on his own. He can just give the easy ball and run into the space. He doesn't have to take on every player on the pitch. He needs to relax.
Yeah, that's obviously why people. I mean, we may sound like we're being reasonably harsh on the kid, but it's only because you can see the flashes of absolute brilliance that he has there, which causes you to just want more and want more and want it more consistently. So let's move it along. Let's have a bit of a chit chat now about. So we don't have to. I mean, we can completely ignore Sheffield Wednesday if you want. It doesn't bother me. Yeah, let's just skip past that one and talk about something else.
One of the worst ever performances from an almost full strength team. How does that happen? How in the world can an almost full strength Arsenal team lose? I'm glad they did, because I don't want to be in that cup. But
they weren't full strength, Danny, was they? Come on.
No.
Well, almost. You shouldn't be conceding 3 goals when you've got 3 of our best back 4 playing, and then with our best goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, conceding 3 goals against that shower.
Hold up, 3 of our best back 4 have been Debussy.
Hang on. Yeah, I'm not with that one.
No, come on, Dan. Okay, look. Obviously, we were insipid on the night. It was pathetic, but those players haven't played before as that team. Communication is poor. We were rubbish, to be fair, but having Ox go off, then Theo go off early, that doesn't help. It's not an excuse.
Would you say it's worse or not as bad as the loss against Bradford? Which is
it's far worse than it's nowhere near as bad as the loss against Bradford, to be honest with you.
Because they're a league higher.
No. I just thought when you're that bad on the night, you know, sometimes that's the way it is. You know, I think the Olympiacos and Zagreb games were far, far, far worse. I thought those two were shameful performances on both occasions, but this one I just thought we were just poor.
Well, the other thing you got to
I don't
remember
know about you
is-
boys. The thing
Oh, go on, Dom.
that disappointed me the most was, you know, the manager's giving an opportunity to some of these younger kids and some of the second string players, and you'd think that they would, you know, put in a little bit more effort.
So that's the point I was going to make. They're not our reserves. They're our reserves. These ones are from the under 19, under 21 league, because our actual reserves are all out on loan. Like, you look at Kamara and Iwobi and Beneka, I think Beneka and Bilic. 4 of those, they're all kids. If they were any good, they'd be out on loan. I think people have, that has probably done them more bad than good coming on and playing in that game. And you shouldn't have come on and done that. I mean, to play that many, I wanted to see, pardon me, here I go again. I wanted to see the likes of John Terrell or Dan Crowley. They're the sort of ones that should be playing in the League Cup game mixed in with the first team. Not those 3, because those 3 are making it 4 when Beneka come on. They were just so out of their depth. It was unbelievable. And how many times did Giroud touch the ball? I don't think the supply to him was shocking, and he must have been so angry. And Joel Campbell, if he never wears an Arsenal shirt again, I mean, he was there for the full game. He might as well just not have turned up. We'd have been better off with 10 men.
The senior players should have really took hold of the game but to be honest with you, from minute 2 when he got that injury, you know, that I thought myself, hold on a minute. You know, this is going to be one of them nights, because it's difficult going up there. You've got 3 or 4 youngsters out there. We've got a squad of, you know, reserved squad players out there as well, and it's difficult. You've got 35,000 up there, all making great noise, because it's like their cup final, Sheffield Wednesday versus Arsenal now. And Dave, you and I at least go back to the days when we played them 5 times in the FA Cup, didn't we?
And snowball fight.
No, that's right. That's right. But you know, it's a big game for Sheffield Wednesday. You've got them young kids going out there. I don't think our attitude was very good. I think that, you know, Per Mertesacker and the Giroud up top, the attitude didn't seem right from the start. But it is difficult to go up there, and unfortunately, what the manager said when he said that maybe the youngsters are not ready for this level, it seemed a little bit unfair. But at the end of the day, he stuck him in there, like you said, Dan. He stuck him in there. He's given, you know, he's had confidence to put them out there and try to give the boys confidence that was playing. But you know, they didn't really get up to it. The game, that particular game like that, it's all about partnerships. You know, like the right back and the right midfield player and the 2 centre midfield players, and we didn't seem to have one partnership that worked all over the pitch, and I think that's where the problem lies. And, you know, we give stupid goals away, and like you said, it's one of them things you've got to think.
Don't you think though, Geoff, looking at it, we went up there because the Ox thinks he can play as a central midfielder. Arsene gave him that opportunity and didn't have any cover for him when we didn't have a number 10 to replace him when he came off. And I did wonder whether the more sensible thing to be would have been to pick Flamini up there, because he wants to hit the showman passes all the time, and bring one of the lads on so that there were 2 of them that knew each other playing together. But there again, there's the other point. We only started with 2 of the lads, to be fair, and I think both of them might have fared different if they were playing alongside Alexis and Mesut Ozil and Santi Cazorla than the guys who were out there the other night. Because, you know, you've got, unfortunately, that Chambers would be seen as a senior player in that side, certainly Debussy, certainly Gibbs, and none of them got up, put an arm around the lads, told them where, you know, what to do, where to go. And it was only because of the injuries later on, after the Ox to Theo, that we had the other two lads coming on. I don't think for a moment we intended to give 4 kids their debut there, but that's the way it transpired on the night. For me, it's one of those things. I'm not going to go. I'm more upset, as Jay said earlier, with the 2 Champions League defeats earlier than I was with that Sheffield Wednesday one.
Let's be honest, lads, okay? You know, if somebody had told us before Man United, right, you're going to beat Man United 3-0, and beat Bayern Munich 2-0,
yeah.
Pardon me, you're going to beat Everton 2-1, and they're going to lose to Sheffield Wednesday 3-0, you'd have bitten your arm off for it. You know,
An important cup, yeah, and they were important wins.
it's no excuse for the performance. It was a bad performance on the night. But you look at the lineup, as Geoff was saying, there's no set pairings there. Our communication is bad. Our attitude is bad. If you're relying on Matthew Debussy to put in a top performance at the moment, there's no chance. He's hardly having playing time. He's just coming back from a year off. No hope. Chambers, people are on his back. He's not having playing time. You know, these guys are not going to develop with football in the system it currently is. You know, then they're not going to just magically be great week in, week out. You know, there's not enough experience with the Chambers to be great week in, week out. With Debussy, don't tell me that long layoff from last season's not having an effect on him. You know, he looks as if he's got an extra stone on him, size-wise. I may be wrong, but, you know, he's just not at the races. It's difficult, lads. It's difficult, you know. I mean, if we had the answers to this, we'd all be in Arsene Wenger's seat, wouldn't we?
I was more disappointed that, you know, I mean, watching the game, we was so un-Arsenal, it was unbelievable. We couldn't string 2 or 3 passes together. We didn't even look like anything that resembled an Arsenal team. And, you know, the boys, they all train and they play together. And, you know, that Kamara, the young lad, he's been with the first team squad for a while now, joining in with the training, and he's highly rated. And it was interesting. I was sitting there thinking, oh, let's have a look at this guy now. So, you know, he's been highly rated, and he struggled a little bit. He struggled a little bit with his confidence. Instead of getting hold of the game and and doing something, he just played a simple pass. You know, they're the games that you have got to grab hold of the game. This is your chance. Get hold of it and look good. I quite liked Bielik when he come on. All right, he did put a couple of stray passes, but they was always in the final third of the pitch when you can make a stray pass, you know what I'm saying?
I think he's the one most likely to have a future at the club.
Yeah, you know what I liked about him? He was getting the ball off the back four. He was looking for it all the time, you know? That's when you know a boy who's got a bit of confidence, whereas with Kamara, he didn't really want it. He was hiding a little bit, you know? But I suppose it's where he was under the cosh a lot, wasn't we? But it was just a shame that I didn't enjoy the game one bit because... No. You know, sometimes if you get beat by a team, you know, you can still see patches of play, Arsenal, you know, the way they play and all that. But with this particular game, we didn't look Arsenal at all.
But Geoff,
Sorry,
mate. Geoff, I think it's a good point. You know, I mean, you know, you got Wenger saying after the match, we thought these youngsters were ready, they're not. You know, that kind of says it all. He seemed really disappointed. You know, we didn't put in any type of Arsenal-like performance. We were just so bitty, if you know what I mean. It was just it was painful to watch at times. But you know, the youth system is in a series of transition, and these guys now, you know, if they're going to get their chances, they've got to take them, and they haven't.
I'll tell you what concerns me most about that game, and it's not the young kids, because the young kids, like Danny said, the ones that are probably good enough to play in that game are out on loan, because you're in a situation where if you don't let them go out on loan and develop, you halt to their development because they may only play 2 games of Capital One Cup and then they're in the reserves for the rest of the season, where the competition's not as good.
In the first round.
Yeah, that's right. So then all of a sudden you've kept all these kids back, and they're going to get much more development by playing first team football every week somewhere else. So that doesn't bother me so much. What bothers me or concerns me most is that the second string players, the ones that are going to or supposedly come directly in for any injuries, Debussy for Bella and Gibbs for Monreal, the only position in the field that I feel comfortable with getting a rotation or an injury is at centre-back with Gabriel coming in. So that's the biggest concern for me, is that if Bellerin's to go down or Monreal or even Cazorla at the moment, I do worry about who's coming in to replace them, because these guys just are getting chances now and then, but they're just not even looking like taking these chances at the moment. Dave?
Harsh maybe on one game. There's an interesting one. I'm sure we'll start talking about Swansea later on, but if I just preview that with a thought for you. We've obviously got a gap now on the right-hand side of the midfield that needs filling, and I've seen a lot of people who have been tweeting to the effect that maybe we move Santi over there onto the right wing and bring Flamini in alongside Coquelin, or we move Bellerin forward into midfield and play either Chambers or Debussy at right back. And I don't see why one position not being filled should lead to another one that's working well being changed.
Yeah. Good point.
So I just wondered what people would think about giving Iwobi another chance when he's playing with better players than he was playing with the other night, and maybe see if he's really up to the level of playing in what is the proper first team, not a squad side.
I'll tell you what we need to do, Dave. We need to get Danny to call in a bomb threat to the Under-17 World Cup and get back the Geoff. That's what we need to do.
Other Geoff.
The Geoff. All right, let's move this along. So I've got a little bit of a talking point just for a couple of minutes. I don't want to spend too long on this. Concerns for the rest of the season, Geoff? Do you have any concerns? 10 games down so far, a third in. We're looking not too bad. Maybe the squad might be looking a little bit thin with some injuries at the moment, but long term, do you see any concerns?
No, not at all. I fancy us. I really do. I fancy us for a while now. We are definitely the best team statistically in 2015, and we just carried on. If we can just continue that, it's all about getting the consistency right, and we just got to keep on getting them 3 points. And the more points you get, the more confidence you get. The more points you'll get because you're confident. It's a circle, and I'm a little bit concerned about the injuries again. This is your field, mate. It is the muscle injuries again that we encountered at Sheffield Wednesday. Tell me about it. Do you think it's lack of warm up, like a few of the people have said, or what's your view on it?
Oh, no one listens to me anyway, Geoff.
Sorry, Geoff. It just beggars belief that people on Twitter become medical experts. It's like at Dean Dunn Square. His girlfriend's a fucking nurse. I mean, I saw some moron today. I can't remember the guy's name. I don't even want to mention him. But, acting like an expert on all things medical. We don't know, do we? Dom knows. He's got a bit of thing.
Okay. All right, so if people that are saying that the warm-up was caused Oxlade-Chamberlain's hamstring injury, they all did the same warm-up. Why didn't they all do a hamstring?
That's what the commentator on the telly said. That's because I know you and Chris spoke about it, and Chris said, "Oh well, I'll just bow to Dom's knowledge." I mean, no, that's what the bloke on the telly said, but he's a commentator, so. Yeah, he said,
look, okay.
And he didn't.
I was more talking about Theo, but go on Oxlade-Chamberlain's one. Give us a view.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Theo. Theo didn't warm up properly, did he? That's why.
He was only on the bench for 2 minutes before he had to come on. I don't know how cold you're going to get after 2 minutes because he did a warm up with the rest of the first team at the start. So that is just a commentator saying something. But for Oxlade-Chamberlain, for me, when it's people saying about the warm up, it's that. You're only looking on the surface. There's so much other stuff that goes on. So he probably, if you're going to do a muscle like that, if you're going to get a strain or a tear, you've gone into the game with some tightness somewhere. So to give you a bit of a biomechanical example, this is how in-depth it can get. He's probably gone into the game with a bit of a tight back, which causes an anterior pelvic tilt. That lengthens the hamstrings, putting them under tension. They become the weak link in the chain. He's an explosive athlete who's had soft tissue injuries in the past, so there's scar tissue build up there, which makes him more susceptible to any kind of strain or injury. Then it's he goes out there and he's an explosive person. That's why he had a bit of a strain or a tear. I don't think it's got much to do with the warm-up, but hey, what do I know?
Hey, try getting that in 144 characters.
Exactly, but that's the thing, right? Is that if you're gonna make statements and things, then you need to be able to have a bit more of a range of depth of knowledge to be able to consider the other things that could have caused that in the first place, to either rule them out or to actually say that they could have been something that may have triggered it. And with the Theo situation, he's exactly the same thing. He's had troubles before. He's had a knee reconstruction. His biomechanics have been altered from that. He's an explosive athlete that's had soft tissue injuries in the past. He did the same warm-up as everybody else at the start, and he was only sitting down for probably 2 or 3 minutes before he had to get up and come on. As a professional athlete, I would have thought that he would have been able to come on and not tweak a calf within a couple of minutes. But it doesn't really matter what I say. People are going to disagree with me anyway and say, nah, it's the warm-up's fault. I heard the commentator, or that's just what I think. So, sometimes you're better off just not saying anything at all.
Well, there's a good thing on transfermarket.co.uk as usual. I nick all my best stuff from there. It's got the Arsenal players, they're out. It says Rosicky, knee op. He's missed 28 games, due back beginning of January. Jack Wilshere, hairline cracking, calf bone. He's back beginning of January. 28 games he's missed. Danny Welbeck, knee op, missed 24 games due back in January. And I don't see how Danny Welbeck has only missed 24 when he's been injured longer than Jack and Thomas. So maybe it was a new injury. And then Espina has got a Schuttelsvanten, because this is partly in German, and I think that means knee injury, and he's missed 3 games. Mikel Arteta, Verler, Stutzen, and Fungelbecken, which means calf injury, maybe. I don't know. I did just Google Translate these, and I've forgotten already. And Ramsey, he's out. He's missed 2 games. Theo has missed 1, and the Ox has missed 1. So they're all back, or the last 3, or the last 4 should all be back at the end of October.
It's mad as well that we've lost all those players on the right-hand side, isn't it? It's funny. It's this typical Arsenal thing.
Players
like
graveyard.
We had the start of last season, we lost all our defenders, and now we've lost everything on the right-hand side. You know, it's quite disappointing, isn't it? And I think I think it's down to bad luck. Again, Wenger's getting all stick again about the training methods and this and that. But you know, in my opinion, you know, if we can keep 8 players on the pitch for 30 games together, I honestly do think we can win the league.
And again, Geoff, you know, it's like they're giving Wenger stick for the training methods and what have you. What a load of codswallop, okay? I genuinely fear for society the way it's going, okay? These people, they haven't got the good sense God gave them. If it was the training methods, as Dom said earlier on, they'd all be injured. They'd all be in trouble. We've had Ramsey pull a hamstring. He's had a tough few weeks. The Andorra game, etc., was a bit harder than they thought it was going to be. These things happen, you know, and he's susceptible to that. You got to remember, you know, he's had massive troubles with his, you know, after that double leg break. From Mr. Shawcross, etc. These things continue to haunt people. You know, Ox, Theo, as Dom said earlier on, they've got a history of these things. Once it's there, it's very difficult to get over it. You'll notice
is the same type of athlete is susceptible to the soft tissue injuries. So I've copped stick before because I say that Aaron Ramsey's more injury prone than Jack Wilshere. It's because if you're talking injury proneness, you're talking about someone's body running along, not doing anything out of the ordinary, and it breaking down. Jack's doesn't. Jack gets kicked. That's how he gets his injury. So, look, the style of play may make him more prone to injury, but as an athlete, he's not injury prone like Aaron Ramsey, because Aaron Ramsey's constantly doing a soft tissue injury every 10 games. That's the concern. So when it comes to training methods and stuff, I've said it before, these guys are on, you know, hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. If anyone's naive enough to think that they don't have the best of the best at the club making sure that these assets, which is what they are these days, are able to be out on the pitch as much as possible and in as good a condition as possible to avoid having 3 and 4 week layoffs, then there's not much point discussing it any further, because people are going to come up with their own agendas anyway. It's the same thing that we always discuss when it comes to, you know, sometimes the Wenger in, Wenger out stuff, or, you know, certain people have agendas against the medical staff, so every time we do an injury, then they can, you know, jump on the Twitter and have a dig. But at the end of the day, you know, there's so much more going on behind the scenes, and there's so much more science involved as to why these guys are doing these injuries that, you know, unless you have that sort of background, and even I don't, you know, like I'm talking and taking a guess at most of the time. So, you know, I'm not going to sit there and accuse the club of doing the wrong thing because I don't know enough.
Dom, you know, the 4 hamstrings in 15 months or something like that he's done now.
Yep.
Does that not concern you a little bit? You know, how can he stop that? There's obviously something going wrong there somewhere, biomechanically, so to speak.
Yep. So I wrote a little bit of a blog on this for Mr. OG, and it basically explains and outlines exactly why that happens and why it is so difficult to combat. Because if you have a postural problem, I mean, these guys are elite athletes. They're running so much, they're putting so much strain through certain areas of their bodies that if his hips aren't rightly aligned, the hamstrings become an anchor muscle. So they're not shortened. Everyone thinks that you have short hamstrings and they tear. It's not the case at all. They're actually starting to get lengthened, and so your body puts them under tension. It basically just it tenses them to say, oh, no more, I don't want to stretch any further. So now all of a sudden you've got a situation where he's sort of running and stretching with a muscle that's not wanting to stretch. What do you think is going to happen? And then if you've got a scar tissue there, the scar tissue is sort of this clumpy, bally, hard stuff that sort of gets it's what your body uses to heal the tear that you've got there. Then all of a sudden it becomes a weak point because the muscle's not going to contract and release like it normally should. It's not pliable anymore. It's got a little bumpy spot in there. So then all of a sudden you've got a part of the muscle that is again more susceptible to injury. So that's the repeat injury. And for Aaron Ramsey, absolutely, because he said last time he had a bad hamstring injury, he said that they're trying really hard to figure out what's going wrong and why, but they're just, even if you know why, it's so difficult to overcome because a lot of the time what fixes it is complete rest. So do you just ice him for the rest of the season so you can get his biomechanics right? Of course not. And then there's no guarantee that it's going to fix anything anyway. So all you can do is go through the process and just hope that he can slowly but surely do things that...
Do you not think he should... He's got to work it out in his own mind. He's got to have a little bit better game management, so to speak. I read a stat the other day that every 2 minutes he runs the length of a football pitch and another third again. I mean, that's what makes him so good. On the bleep test. Yes, of course.
That's what makes him so good, Geoff. That his engine is elite. I honestly think it would be the best engine in the Premier League. And the reason that he gets into these goal-scoring positions, especially when he was in midfield, is because the marker or the person that was supposed to be tracking him looks up and goes, "Oh shit, he's gone again."
Yeah, they cheat.
And they cannot keep up with him. So all of a sudden there's a situation where he pops up in the box and the defenders are defending our attackers. Then Aaron Ramsey's floating around by himself.
Yeah.
And he can do that all game. So it's the same thing with the Jack Wilshere argument. Do you change the way that he plays? Because the way that he plays is what's gotten him into our first team in the first place. And then there's the argument that, there's no point having him play that way when he's never out on the pitch. So, it's not the easiest thing in the world to figure out because if you start, telling Aaron to run less or to not sort of exert so much energy or you rotate more, then all of a sudden you may have a player that's out of form and no use anyway. So it's difficult.
The hamstring, though, is it generally down to fatigue, later on? I know it can go at any time, don't get me wrong, but is it do they generally actually happen when you're a little bit tired?
No, not necessarily. For him, I think it's a biomechanical issue that he needs to work on constantly. The fatigue aspect of it, like I said, there's other players that run around just as much that don't do hamstrings all the time. Ozil was one of our highest players that covers the most ground when he plays, and he doesn't have the problem of soft tissue injuries because his biomechanics are probably a lot better. So it's a tough one, that's for sure, but it's not something that you can just point the finger at and just say, that's the problem, let's fix that, and then there'll be no more issues, because it's not how it works.
Can I just float something out there? Apart from Thomas Rosicki, the treatment room is largely full of young British talent. And does anyone think it's maybe the fact that we overtrain these kids when they're 14, 15, 16, and now we get a payback for it? I've seen it suggested somewhere, and I don't have an opinion on it.
It's not a silly suggestion at all, Dave. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, that's what I've been doing some work with recently here in Vancouver, is younger athletes, and you do realise that the training and the things that they're doing is just insane. These baseball kids that are blowing their shoulders out by the time they're 16 years old, because they're just, if you're not at the elite level at a young enough age, then you don't get noticed anymore. So, they are putting their bodies under all of this extra strain. I don't know what goes on in other countries, and I don't really know what the training's like in Britain, but you're probably onto something. But the other thing I would suggest is the soft tissue injuries that we've got are all explosive players too. You don't see Santi Cazorla doing a hamstring. You don't see Per Mertesacker doing a hamstring because they never move fast enough or explosive enough to do one in the first place. So there's a certain type of athlete that's more susceptible, and we are a team that plays quick. We play a lot of passing and moving, so we're stopping and starting quite a lot. We take off explosively a lot, and that's the type of players that we have. So we probably will be more susceptible to those types of injuries than other teams that sit, counter, stay, don't move a whole lot. That's just my, we could sit there and talk about this all day, but everyone's probably getting a bit bored by now. Listener questions, Danny, what have you got for us? Anything good?
Yeah, there's been quite a few good ones and a few silly ones. I'll start off with one from Zeus Cannon. He says, should Debuchy be sacked if no one wants him in January? He can't even answer that one.
No.
I just thought I'd ask it. I'd like him to stay because otherwise we have no backup right backs. If he goes, we're going to have to get Jenkinson back from West Ham, and to get him back from West Ham, we're going to have to pay for it because he's on a year-long loan, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that we obviously the thing. I mean, it's good that Jenkinson's gone there and done well because I don't see Debussy around next season. I think that we'll manage to keep him at least. I don't see why if we're so high up the Premier League table, it doesn't really make sense to let go your only backup proper right back because Chambers. I don't think we'd be trusting Chambers there, Jace.
No.
The only thing I would say about that is that you've got a situation where he wants to play because he wants to play in the European Championship, and the word is he's banging on Wenger's door every week saying, "Let me go in January if you're not going to use me." So there may be that we're looking to replace him in January.
Well, that would be the thing, isn't it? If then you're in another tricky situation that if you buy in January to replace him, and then what happens with Carl Jenkinson at the end of the season if he's deemed good enough to come back? Jeff, what are we going to do? You're the man with the transfer news.
I think everyone's getting way over the limit on Debussy. He's still I think he's still got plenty of life left in him. He just needs more games, or he needs to sharpen up a little bit and be ready for when he comes in. He's great backup. I think he's a good player. I don't see why people are losing their rubbish over just a couple of games. He hasn't played, has he? Let's be honest. Let's give him a chance, the lad.
But if he's not playing because Bellerin's been so good and he is banging on the door wanting to leave, then what?
Well, he's got to be ready when he is called up. He's going to have to be ready, and I think he will be.
No, but the point is, if he wants to play in the European Championships, when he does get his chance, he's got to perform. He doesn't look right at the moment. Let's be honest. But let's not underestimate the guy's quality. He's a really top full-back. He's a French international.
I won't play him at the weekend at right back though against the. Is he playing that?
Montero.
Yeah, Montero. That's right.
Oh no!
You don't want that situation again. I think Bellerin will be a right back, and I think he'll stick Campbell out there. I really do. Someone like that.
I think he'll have to, won't he? Montero's got bags of pace. He's quicker than Bellerin, I think.
Danny, next question. What do you got?
All right, from Pete Gooner at the PA Gooner. With all the injuries we got, I think he means that we have, but I'll let him away with that. If you can bring one lone player back, who would it be? Jace?
Oh, Jenkinson.
Oh, yes. Well, then would that mean that so we can get rid of Debussy, or is that just for extra cover?
No, because I don't see anybody else good enough out there. I think Jenkinson could do a job for us at right back if we needed him. But, of the other players we have out, no offence, I don't see them good enough for the Premier League. I think there's a reason they're out on loan. Some of them may turn into good players, Akpom, etc. But, you look at Dan Crowley at the moment, he's coming back from Barnsley. They're intimating he's not good enough for Barnsley. Our players are so overrated at times by the fans. It's beyond belief. Okay, there's no reality to the situation the club is in. We're either overrating them and or we're hammering them. The truth is somewhere in between. But the bottom line is Jenkinson could come in and do a really good job for us. I don't see anybody else being able to do that type of job.
The one that I think I'd bring back would be Serge Gnabry, because we need someone on that right-hand side at the moment, and I think that he's probably better than what we've got currently. Yeah. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He would be the logical one given our injury situation at the moment. But that can change, of course. There's another one out there I wouldn't mind having back, actually, Gideon Zelalem, because we sent him up to Scotland, presumably to toughen him up. And they're absolutely raving about him up there. And unlike the kiddie they've got from Tottenham, who's getting splattered all over the place, he's looking after himself in Scotland's first division, which is some achievement for a lad of that age. So I wouldn't mind seeing him back.
I think they take it to. They don't go, oh look, you're only a young 18-year-old. He's played 6 games. It doesn't say how many assists he's got, but I think he's got about 4 or 5 assists. That's for 6 league games. He's played 2 in the domestic cup, and that's it. But the thing I was just looking at with Serge Gnabry, like you were saying, that's the one I'd pick. You know, he's only played 1 Premiership game that lasted 12 minutes, and then other than that, he's played 2 full League Cup games, and that's all he's played for them. And he's been there for best part of a third of a season now. So I wonder why there's some reason why they're not playing him, because Wenger isn't going to be very happy with that, because when he sends these players out on loan, it's because for them to get experience. Unlike Chesney, they want to send him out to get rid of him because they don't want him at the club at the moment. So that's a bit of a worry, but that would be my choice, Gnabry. Geoff?
You would like to think... sorry. I was just going to say, you would like to think that was because Tony Pulis doesn't want to play the sort of football that Serge Gnabry is capable of. But the counter-argument to that would be the fact that he actually used wingers at Stoke.
And he used wingers at Palace.
Yeah.
You look at the width he played at Palace with. He's more than happy to let these guys have a free role, if you know what I mean, as long as they're going to do the work back and forth. It's a strange one, but again, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, do we?
No.
Gee, what are your thoughts, mate?
I would most probably bring. Is it Drew Brackpole? I think I'll bring him back because we might be a little bit short up top with regards to going into the final stages of the season. But to be honest with you, if we can keep our squad fit, we've got enough. I'm not bothered. I'm not really entirely concerned about it. I'm really not.
I'll be devil's advocate, Geoff, and say that we never keep our entire squad fit.
No, it's very true. It's very true.
And there are things you can do to combat that.
There are, of course, yes. If available, there's no one available.
No one available.
That old hashtag.
I do have a question for you, Geoff.
January.
I've got a listener question for Geoff. It comes from Dom.
Any relation?
Very close relation.
Is he that morning Aussie git?
He is. It's the Aussie Dom, not the Canadian Dom. So I've got a question. I want to know. So we've decided that, the manager decided actually that a striker, the superstar world-class striker was the man that was going to come into the side if we could find one in the summer and really push us into being, next to Premier League favourites, but it didn't materialise. We know that there is only a handful of proper world-class strikers in the world at the moment that would improve what we've got, and even less that are available. And we also know that the ones that have moved recently have moved for such stupid money that we are going to get priced out even if one did become available. So my question to Geoff is, what do we do?
Well, he's going to need to find a solution. It's as simple as that, and you just got to trust in him and the scouting team to find a solution.
I would like to know what Jeff Arsenal would do.
Oh, it's difficult, mate, isn't it? Because I'd like to send I'd like to spend 60 or 70 million pound on a centre forward and bring him in and like I'd love to. I'd go and pick him up, Lewandowski, but we can't because he's not for sale. That's what the problem lies. But I still do believe that he'll find someone along the way, won't he? He might not be. He might be like a kind of youngster, or he might find someone from another league that that he can turn into a top quality centre forward. But we're running away. If we can keep Theo fit, I don't see any reason why. Me, I've not been a lover of Theo when he's been playing out on the right hand side, but I've had a lot of confidence in Theo this last few games when he's he's making good runs, he's learning the game up front. So why can't we just rely on Theo and Giroud? Who's a fantastic backup centre forward if he's got to be a backup, and if we have to, I'm sure that Alexis can fill in up top there somewhere. So I think we're all right. It would be great to sign another top class centre forward if they're available, but if not, how I feel about the squad.
So we stick with what we've got if there's no one available, as far as you think that the talent that we have at the club is enough to win if you can't find... So my other question is, and I'll go to Jace with this one, do you see any other deficiencies in the team that could potentially cost a title push for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, the lack of backup for Coughlin, I know I've said it before, I'm bored of saying it, but it does concern me, I as much as I love Matthew Flamini, and I love Matthew Flamini, the stick he gets on Twitter just grinds my goat. you know, he's not going to do a job over 10 games if we have an injury there to Cock. Arteta, you know, 33.
Be nice, Jace. Come
No,
on.
I got a lot of respect for Mikel Arteta. He's done a good job for us as a pro. You know, but he's 33 years of age.
I don't have any confidence that he can stay fit. That's my issue with the guy.
Same here, okay? And, you know, he's already out. You know, he's already out. You know, what's he... I remember after the Palace game, people are saying, oh, he looks so sprightly. Are they having a giraffe? What were they watching? Okay, he ran around for 20 minutes. The season is longer than that. And you're in the most physical league in the world. You're in a league which is up and down. You look at that game against Everton. It was harem scarem stuff. Those boys put in a shift, you know. And people are thinking Mikel Arteta's going to compete in that? No, he's not. Of course he's not. I'm sorry. I got a lot of respect for Mikel Arteta. I think the way he's been spoken about by some people is disgraceful, you know. I have a bit of a laugh or whatever, fine, but, you know, abuse of the players, that just is petty and pathetic, to be honest with you. But you've got to bring somebody in there who can not just back up to Coquelin, but compete with him, take his place, be better than him. Because, you know, just saying so-and-so is first team on the team sheet, well, you're not developing, you're not kicking on, you're not going forward. You know, you want this team to improve, this squad to improve. So, you know, that's the area that does worry me because, you know, Coquelin's made himself integral to the squad. He allows us to play. You know, he's been great, to be fair, but... You know, you want a bit more depth there. And sorry, Flamini and Mikel Arteta do not give you depth.
He seems like a durable character, though, doesn't he, Coquelin, to be fair with him?
He does, Paul,
Yeah.
but... You know, I've seen a lot of durable characters go down. You know,
I'll tell you what with Coquelin, that knee injury that he got, where he did miss that game, that was so close to being the type of movement that can tear an ACL, and that's the concern, that it only takes a collision because he is sliding around. He is in a position where he's going to get, you know, bumps and knocks and things. That if there's a twist or if an ankle goes, someone steps on his foot and breaks a bone in his foot. Yeah. You know, I just don't think that we have the depth in that position to cover 10 games. Especially, I mean, if we had to have Arteta and Flamini deputising for the Manchester United, Bayern Munich, you know, those games that we've just had, the Everton games, I'm not sure we would have done as well as what we've done. That's my big concern, that if he's to miss some game time, it can actually be the difference, I think, between a Premier League title and, you know, finishing second or third. So the whole, you know, only buying better than what we have argument, to me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to certain positions because, I mean, Coquelin himself wasn't a first-team player. Hector Bellerin wasn't a first-team player. They came in and made themselves first-team players. So we've seen up front with Theo and Giroud fighting it out, just what having a bit of competition in the side can do, where, you know, you're really pushing each other along to make sure you're getting the best out of each other. I wouldn't mind knowing, Dave, what do you think, if there's anything in particular that you can think of that may stop us from, you know, really pushing on this year?
Stop us? It's only going to be more injuries, quite frankly. I'm kind of with Geoff. I think the squad we've got is great. I also agree with you and Jason that we need some cover for Coquelin. I don't think we've got sufficient cover for him. The other area that slightly concerns me is if anything happens to Nacho Monreal, who's probably the most improved player next to Coquelin in the squad. And Gibbs doesn't fill you with confidence at the moment when he's playing at left back. He's not positionally aware. We tend to give a lot of goals away on that side when he's playing. So that would be another area I would look at. But generally, if we can get, you know, 4 or 5 of the injured players back then, and we keep Coquelin fit and Monreal fit, I agree with Geoff. I think this is our best chance of landing the title in a long time.
So what you got to remember is, you know, everyone's looking for these players that are mentioned a lot and stars and whatever. You know what you got? Shelny was virtually unheard of. Gabriel, Monreal. You know, he's brought them guys in. That's what I'm saying to you. Why I think he will find a solution for the areas that we are a little bit short at for cover.
Do we have time to wait though, Geoff? See, this is going back a few years. I completely 100% agree with you that it takes time to build a champion squad. It takes time to find your centre back pairing, and it took us a long time to have Mertesacker and Koscielny, because before that it was quite a while before we had a centre back pairing that worked. And so my concern is that with those two on the wrong side of 30, with Ozil and Sanchez in their absolute primes at the moment, Giroud's 29, Theo's in his prime, Ramsey, Wilshere, who haven't really been fit, but they're at that age now. To me, the squad looks absolutely ready. I'm not sure whether we can wait another season or two for the right player to come along. That's my only concern, is that I wouldn't mind going out and risking 15, 20, 25 million pounds on a striker that maybe we've never heard of, because at least at the end of the season I'll be able to say, yep, we gave it our best shot. We couldn't get the number one 50 million pound striker because no one would move. That's fine. But we had to go anyway. We took the risk knowing that the time really is now.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you just got to trust the manager. He's done it before. I don't see any reason why listen, if he thinks that someone can come in and do exactly what you just said there to get us through and get us over the line, I think he'd do it. There's nothing holding him back. I should imagine he wants to do it. He's got the money to do it, but he's not going to compromise just for the sake of what your fans want him to do. He won't do that.
I have no problem with Arsene Wenger picking his man and taking his time and so forth, but it kind of seems, and I don't want to bash him either, because look, he runs the club and he does a better job than I can ever dream of. But I just at times I look at it. We're giving Rosicky another year's contract. He's 34, 35, whatever he is. You're giving Mikel Arteta, 33 years of age, who's who's had injury problems, a new 1-year contract. Surely there must be somebody out in Europe, or South America, who fits the bill, who can come in and do a job. There must be, and to only strengthen the summer with Peter Cech, and I know this is old ground, but it just seems to me, I don't think it's defeatist, but if he's only going for world class, that's a very small pond you're fishing in. And if there are no fish in there, you're wasting your time, so to speak. If you want to catch the fish, you've got to fish in the bigger pond where you're going to get something. Okay, it may be somebody to come in to do a job for one season to match his plan or whatever, but that money is no good to us sitting in the bank. It's not appreciated enough in value. You look at Chelsea. I know they got players all over the place on loan, but those players appreciate in value as well. So that's another side of it. It's just left me very frustrated.
I think that is the frustration, is that the team looks so close, but there is just a couple of little wobbly wheels that if one of them comes off, a Coquelin or even Giroud at the moment getting injured, then we're in some big trouble. So, and I'd just hate to see at the end of the year that injuries once again have cost us a chance to say, well, we gave it our best shot, but our squad wasn't good enough, because I think our squad's good enough too. But inevitably we're going to get injuries, because it just happens to us every single year. Better go back to Danny for some more questions. Have you got anything for me, Danny?
Yeah, more of a statement than a question from Thomas Longva. He says, are our reserves really that shit, or having their head in the right place on the night? Our experienced players let the youth players down. I think that's quite a good point. It's a point we made earlier. There's one from Devin Dawson asking about where we should play now that we've got the players out, but I think we've covered all of that lot. Passanel, Czech back post says, now that Theo, Ramsey and the Ox are injured and Giroud will play striker, who should play on the right? I know we've kind of covered that, but has anybody got like a one-player answer to who we should play on the right?
Iwobi for me. Jace?
Campbell.
Geoff?
Iwobi for me.
Yeah, I think I would play Iwobi, but I think he'll play Campbell just out of experience and playing away and everything else. But
yeah, he's played Champions League, and he's been, he's done Spain and Greece.
He'll find a solution, I'm sure. He might do something else that we don't know.
Bring back the Geoff. Danny.
It's going to have to be Campbell, isn't it? I don't think that's Iwobi's best position. He saw his goals against Bayern in the Youth Champions League where he beat Bayern 2-0, and I think he scored both the goals. Playing on the right-hand side is not his role. Campbell he had a great season with Olympiacos. He scored a goal against Man United in the Champions League. It's just, and he had a great World Cup. He's got no idea why he isn't turning it on for Arsenal. Maybe Wenger thinks if he keeps playing in there, eventually he will pull it out, or just completely fail every single time. So, I don't know, it's going to have to be Campbell, isn't it? We haven't really got any choice to else to play on the right-hand side.
We can just play no one.
Yeah, try it.
Leave it empty. See what happens.
I'll tell you what, put Matt Flam out on the wing. I bet he won a job.
Well, the point that Devin Dawson, I said, has really made a point. He said that maybe we should try Debuchy at right back and Bellerin as the right winger. And then maybe on the left-hand side, Gibbs and Nacho.
No.
So I think half of that might work. I can see Bellerin playing well on the right.
I think Dave made a good point earlier, though. You don't cut your nose to spite your face. You know, you're not gonna sacrifice two positions to try to potentially improve one. I think that's a really good point. I don't think that he'll do that.
Actually, he could put Sanchez across on the right and push Gibbs further up, because they've done that in the past, haven't they?
Yeah, when they went to hold the lead. We've done that a couple of times this season, and Gibbs has looked all right.
I mean, if Gibbs just backed himself, I think he could be a great player, but that's something they could do.
So we got one final question, Danny.
Yeah, this is from our friend in Croatia, Luka, who is at dream_shake. Be nice to him because sometimes he's a little bit moody. It's Robert Perez's birthday today. What's your favourite memory of his time at Arsenal? So, as I can see some of you, put your hand up if you want to go first.
I will.
Oh, you ain't got your hand up. Go on then.
It was the goal against Southampton. That one where he was with 30 yards out and he just volleyed it over the keeper. He just stroked it. It was beautiful. It was just.
Was that for a hat trick? Was that his hat trick?
I can't remember. It was all technique. Was it a volley? He just stroked it, and it was. Yeah. It was just, the flight of the ball, his motion. It just summed him up. I remember, I think it was the first or second podcast I did with you guys. We were talking and we were picking Arsene Wenger's best 11. And obviously Bergkamp was there, and we picked Pires on the right, on the left. Sorry, and Geoff said he was just a beautiful player. He was just a piece, wasn't he? And yeah, he was he oozed quality, he oozed class. He was just a joy to watch. Except that he's pissing about with penalties with Henry.
I was there for that one. Oh, we laughed.
Oh, how we laughed.
Who's next?
I'll go. I think for me, not one particular goal, but just the shed load that he scored against Spurs. He used to bang him in against them, didn't he? Yeah. So I think he scored the most in North London derbies of any Arsenal player. I think he's up there.
It's got to be quite a few. I know Flamini's right up there after recent events.
Yeah, that's me anyway. Dave, what's yours?
I'll leave the goals alone so there's something for Geoff to talk about, but I will, for me, when we played Juventus and he went back for that tackle on Patrick Vieira, came from behind him and slid it away, and Vieira just looked and couldn't believe that he had lost the ball to Robert Pires. It was that the 2-0 moment? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at that one. What a game. What an atmosphere. Yeah. That was what a proper Champions League night should be like. It was brilliant. I think Fabio Capello was there managing.
That tackle, because everybody was just wow about it.
More from the cheek of it.
Yeah.
Geoff, you got one?
There's been many, and there have been many fantastic moments from Pires. I mean, you've got to remember the Aston Villa chip. It's just unbelievable. The sublime chip when he just chipped Schmeichel, I think it was as well. Unbelievable. But my favourite moment, I think it was one of those 5-3 games at Tottenham when he sat the goalkeeper down on his arse right on the left-hand side of the goal. I think he had a little interchange with either Bergkamp or Henry, or maybe even Wiltord, or one of them superstars that we had at the time. And it was right on the corner of the goal, and you thought, well, he's not going to score from there, he's going to have to cross it. He did, and he just switched his feet the way he just used to shuffle his feet. The goalkeeper's gone one way, he's sat on his arse, and he just stroked it into the corner of the net. It was just especially at White Hart Lane as well. We just couldn't believe it. It was brilliant. So I love him. He's one of my, I think, he's in the top 5 favourite Arsenal players. Is Robert Pires.
He was a thing about. I mean, he was a central midfielder at Marseille, wasn't he? And he went out on the left, and he just I know he got a lot of stick for going over theatrically at times, but he was just a wonderful, wonderful footballer to watch.
He was another one that just, he made things look so simple, didn't he? It weren't really he didn't put his foot over the ball or anything like that, but he was just sublime in what he does. He was very elegant, wasn't he? Different class.
Always had time on the ball.
I was saying, I bet he's still like it now on a training ground with the boys. I bet he's still like it now.
He's somebody who'd pay to watch play. He's just such a wonderful, wonderful footballer.
Imagine them lads on the training pitch now. They're playing with, they're training with people like Thierry Henry and Robert Pires. I mean, they're two quality world-class players, aren't they? It must be brilliant to look at and to learn the technique and brilliant.
Do you know what? And the funny thing is, when he left Villarreal. Villarreal he went to, isn't it?
Yeah.
I half of me just said, I was thinking, just give him 2 seasons. Give him 2 seasons, Arsene. It doesn't matter he's over 30. Just give him bloody 2 seasons. It was such a shame to see him leave the club. It really was.
Remember when he came back with Villarreal, there weren't a bloody dry eye in the house, was there?
No.
Including him.
He represented the club with the dignity, and he was just fabulous.
All right, that's enough for the questions, Danny. You good?
Yeah. Do you want to know my answer?
Yeah, do it.
They were 10 days apart, the best and the worst. The best was after the last game at Highbury. We'd beaten Wigan 4-2 after being losing at half-time, and he was sat. There was only maybe 500 or 600 of us left in the ground, and he sat in the centre circle on a plinth with Ashley Cole and I think a couple of the other players, and we were all chanting one more year, and I think he just stood up and applauded, and turns out he didn't get one more year. And the worst ever time was 10 days later, Paris Champions League final, where Wenger took him off when Lehmann got sent off, and I think that lost us the game because there's so many other players that should have come off, and a man from Paris playing in Paris in the last ever game for Arsenal, and I think he knew it was the last ever game for him, and to have that done for such a great player. And I think many people forget he was actually a right-footed player playing on the left-hand side. Yeah. Which I don't think you see enough of nowadays. Just shows the skill of the bloke. And then the amount of times you'd hear Wenger shouting and moving his hands, and then Ljungberg and Perez would swap wings with the greatest of ease, and that would just mess the opponents up completely. And then he'd change them back again. Sometimes he'd do it 3 or 4 times a game. Absolutely stunning, wonderful player. And I had the little Corinthians football figures. All my Robert Perez ones, I got them and did the little triangle beard on them in permanent marker. That's me done. Do you want any more questions? So there's quite a few more. Should we? We're nearly an hour and a half now. Yeah,
we'll start to wrap it up. I've got one quick little segment that I've put in. It's called Dom's Wank Hammer of the Week, brought to you by Smarteta Analytics. And I've got 2 nominations for this week. First of all, we've got Jose Mourinho for his antics against West Ham on the weekend, which were quite humorous. And the other one, Louis van Gaal for calling Michael Carrick Michael Carrot in the post-match interview. I don't know if you guys saw that, but who gets the win for this week, Geoff?
Definitely Maureen. I'll give Maureen the win for anything like that, mate.
It's like
JT.
It's like a soap opera watching them at the moment. It's brilliant.
Oh, it's
brilliant,
awesome.
Isn't it brilliant?
Boys, I think that man's got serious mental health issues. I'm not being fair. You cannot be that much of a fucktard week in, week out. You just can't. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but it's Mourinho. I get away with that one. After the Champions League game where he was quoting Wenger word for word.
7 out of the last 8 press conferences he mentioned him, hasn't he?
Is he going to come out of the closet? Is he going to declare his undying love for Arsene? I just don't get it.
Did you catch the Van Gaal the interview where he called him Michael Carrot? Because that was pretty humorous.
He looks like a carrot. He looks like a potato.
I never know what Louis is saying at the best of times.
He doesn't even know what he's saying.
Going back to Jose, is there anybody on here that isn't confident that he'll still get him into the top 4 though?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think he can.
If it weren't for the fact that Liverpool have got Klopp, then I think you may have done. But it's going to be Man City, Man United, Arsenal, and probably Liverpool, because Klopp is he's completely changed the formation. No longer playing 3 at the back. He's gone straight to 4 at the back. He's put an Emery Can. Apparently, I kept calling him Can because it's CAN. He's moved him into midfield, and he is dominating in midfield. He is a
good player.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to mess with him. He's been playing him at right back. So they've gone from a flat zigzag back 3 to a proper back 4 with Can in midfield. Yeah, Liverpool are going to finish 4th.
To be honest with you, I genuinely think he's lost the plot and the dressing room.
How much is he on a year? About 8 million a year on a 5-year deal.
Mourinho, joking.
What's he on?
Someone heard a journalist the other day said he might be on 18 mil. Some madness. Yeah.
Can't afford to sack him.
But you look at this, okay. A few weeks ago I thought, they'll come back. The squad's too good, but it's just not ending for them, is it? And it's not about taking the pressure off the squad or the team. He's almost piling more pressure on them by his antics. He seems to have genuinely lost it.
Well, the funny thing about that, Jace, is this segment is brought to you by smarteta.com Analytics, and if you go to that website, smrteta.com, you will see that their total shot ratio is absolutely atrocious, and it hasn't gotten any better. And it's a very, very good indicator on where you're at the moment and where you're likely to finish in the league. Arsenal's is second at the moment, hence we're second on the table, and Man City's first at the moment. So it takes into account a few different things. But go and check that out, and you'll see that Chelsea they're disgusting, and they don't look like turning it around. What got them so far up last season and winning was that they weren't allowing shots on target in the first place, let alone conceding goals. So they, even if they're getting the same amount of shots on target this season, their total shots allowed is just through the roof, and that's just, it's hard to see them turning that around. It really is. It's hilarious though.
If you do go to that site, click on things that you don't think you should click on. There's loads of little Easter eggs that are really funny on that site. OG's worked wonders there. It's very good.
Yeah, okay, so we've decided that Mourinho gets the Wank Hammer of the Week award,
Certainly does.
He was a bit of a favourite for that, really, wasn't he? Anytime he's nominated, he's probably going to win. All right, so we've got some shout-outs. Anyone that you want to give a wink and a nudge to? Not the special kind of winking and nudging that Raj and Mark King have been getting up to either, please, gentlemen. I want to keep this PG.
It was a genuine romance last week.
It's a thing of beauty. They're making a film of it, I've heard.
As Raj looked into Mark's eyes and said, Kingy.
It's not going to be the bootleg Beatles. It's not going to be bootleg Beatles. It's going to be Brokeback Beatles. So.
No.
As long as he doesn't know where you live, you'll be all right with that.
I'm going to cop that soon. I know. Okay, Jace. Anyone that you want to say hello to?
There's 2 things. Please give us a vote in the Football Bloggers Awards, please, guys. It only takes 5 seconds. If you go on the Facebook page, there's a link on there to do it via their website, and if you're on the Twitter page, there's just a quick link. You click on it and you vote for us. We're the only Arsenal podcast left. It would be lovely to defend back to back, but it'd be much appreciated. And thanks for your time.
And vote for Arscast and Swiss Ramble as well.
Yeah. And the other one is Gooner World 76 AFC at Warthog 1, I think it is. At Warthog 1976 ZA. South African Gooner. He's always got a good laugh, so there you go.
Okay, Geoff, have you got anyone that you want to give a little hello to?
Last time I was on, we had a little chat about something that happened on Twitter, and my old mate Mem's doggy, he got a lot of stick about it. He gave me a pull over it, and I felt a little bit bad in the end because he wasn't on the podcast to defend himself. And come to think of it, you should get him on here one time. So I reckon he'd be good value. So something to think about. It'd be good value. Don't worry about that. So Memsy Dog, it's MEMZ_doggy, DOGI. He gets my shout out this week. God bless you, Mems.
He's an interesting follow. I say that. I read his tweets every now and then. He's followed me and unfollowed me a few times in the last few weeks. But he's a good talker.
He talks a whole heap of shit. No, there's no doubt about that. But, he's a good follow, yeah.
All right, Dave. Anyone that you want to give a little bit of a hello to?
Yeah, there's a guy
Or
out
mention
there
your
who
blog as well, because you didn't last time.
Yeah, do
We
that.
don't worry
Give your
about
blog
things
details.
like
Come on, give your blog details out.
Everyone knows.
that.
Everyone knows
They
already.
should do.
Goodaholic.com. That's it. That's as much promotion as we do. There is one guy I met. He's from Australia, funnily enough, came over, paid us a flying visit a couple of months back, took him to the Gunners and round the tour of the ground and didn't charge 50 quid for it.
Oh, subtle. Done it.
Boom!
But honestly, a real great guy. It's the number of people you meet for the first time, just because of this online friendship that you build up. This guy was a real great one, and he's actually at the Reaper 76. His name is Death, and we have a good little giggle about that every now and again when I ask him when he's coming for me, because it's getting ever closer, I suggest. But yeah, definitely the Reaper 76. God bless you, mate.
Going back on that, Dave, you know, you are one person I would most probably give £50 to go around the Emirates with, mate.
And then around Highbury after.
You're that good, mate. I'll tell you, you're that good.
Bless you.
Yes. Do you know him, Dom? Because you're both from Australia.
Yeah, no, we all know each other. Yeah, definitely. Really good guy.
Okay, my gentleman's nod is going to go to a certain Barbican Pirates, and so far this season they've won 5 straight games. They're now up to 3rd in the league. Callum, I'm a bloody good footballer. Knight is now the top goal scorer in the entire Devon Sunday leagues, and there's 4 divisions there. 22 goals in 9 games. He scored a hat-trick, and then 2. And they've got some bloke whose name's unpronounceable, and he's their other top striker. The last game they won 7-1 against Riverside Saints, but there's no game this week because they're waterlogged. But I did suggest that they go on there in their pirate ship, but apparently that's offside. It's not allowed.
What is it going to be like if they get promoted this year? How are we going to suffer that, mate?
They'll get
brilliant.
They might get promoted, but they won't pass the drug test. That Callum kid's clearly on the same stuff that Dunham Zagreb player was on when we played him in the Champions League.
Callum's only 17 or 18 though. He's
juiced up.
Brilliant. He's just too good. They've got some really decent players there.
He runs more than the lines, doesn't he? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've got a couple of gorillas at the back as well. One of them with a big beard that you don't mess with, so that's why they're not conceding goals.
Is that you?
Well, I don't know what to say.
So at the minute, it's Carpenter in, isn't it?
Well,
double in.
When you have a pirate as your manager, I don't think any of them are clean. I think they're all going to get busted for drugs.
But it's only be rum. That's the only drug they're on.
You realise if they're going up, we're all going to have to go down there for the last match of the season.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
2,000 people in the local park.
Have you been to Plymouth?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you go. Don't.
This year I went through it.
I'm not being full of sailors. That's not good.
We should do that, you know. I'll tell you, we should do that. I'm going to do that. If they're in the running and they could win the league on the last game of the season, we've all got a pile down there. I'm going to tweet out for about a month beforehand, 2 weeks beforehand, and try and get a load of 1,000 people down there or something. It'd kill them, wouldn't it?
It'd be brilliant.
I'd say that, Jace, about have you been to Plymouth? We used to go on cricket tour down to North Devon every year, and on the Friday, the last night, we'd go down to Plymouth and do Union Street, which they used to call the Strip, which is a place to be on a Friday night, let me tell you.
Really?
Oh, loose lips.
I tell you, I bet he's sunk 2 ships.
Hey.
Hey, if we're going to go down there, we've got to take a banner, welcome to hell. You know? Yeah, chuck stones and empty cans at people, cause a real riot.
That's the Welsh for you. All right, Dom, I think we're all done. Have you got anyone you want to say hello to?
I do. I'm going to give a little shout out to Liam Reid, who gave us a sneaky little message on our Facebook page. So he knows why. Hopefully he's having a listen. He's helped a few of us out
He certainly has.
With a little message that he gave us. So, absolute superstar. So massive thank you to him. Yeah, I don't know if he's got a Twitter account, does he, Danny? If he does, we should give him a follow.
I've no idea, but John Welsh is and Gimli especially thankful for the little link that he gave us, and we are very sparing with it. We don't give it away to
I don't think he has got a Facebook page. Twitter page. Sorry, when he first started contacting us, he had some questions for Fife, etc. But I think that's absolute
superstar anyway, and he gets my shout out for the week. So other than that, unless anyone's got any last minute wisdom they'd like to share, then we can all say goodbye.
Just to beg for votes in the FBAs. Let's win it.
Shamelessly.
Have we not got to do before we go? Have we not got to do the predictions for the weekend?
Yeah, we can do that. I was hoping not to do that because I'm not very good at it. But yeah, we can do that.
That's because you'll have to say on air how bloody ridiculous your scores are.
All right,
7-5 with Almunia score hat-trick.
Yeah. Let's quickly go, Jace. What have you got? Prediction, please.
2-0 to the Arsenal. Giroud score first.
Ooh.
Geoff,
2-1 Giroud.
Dave.
Oh my God, the best ones have gone already. I'll go 3-0 and Santi Cazorla penalty.
Oh.
God, he's gone.
He's not going to score from open play, is he?
Everybody miss.
Dan, how's the league going anyway?
I haven't updated it in ages. I've got a WordPad document with everything in there. It just takes me about an hour to do it all, so I will put my finger out and get it done.
I am definitely winning.
I must have won it by now.
Gimli didn't do a prediction last week. You know, the standard is 2-0 Giroud. That was his prediction because he didn't predict, and so he got 5 points. It's all done by Gimli.
Hold on a minute, there's gerrymandering going on here. What's all that about? What's that?
Hey, Geoff, I'm top at the moment. Don't worry about it. It's all
I
good.
shall hopefully sort it out this weekend. I'm going to go Swansea to score first from open play, and then we're going to get Ozil's going to score with a free kick.
Well, you got it.
That don't count. What?
It don't work like that.
It don't work like that. Of course it don't.
No.
Dave just said with a penalty.
You said Swansea to score first.
Pick a player.
You got to pick a Swansea player. John Charles.
Of course it is. I forgot how this
John
works.
Charles, Cardiff
It's
City
right
boy.
on bottom. I don't know.
John Hartson.
Fabianski. There you go, Domat. Do that one.
All right, I'm going to go Swansea to score first from an own goal off of Koscielny's left testicle, and it's going to end up being 3-3.
We have also got
Every time I tip us to win, every single time I predict us to win, we lose. So that's why I've decided that it's not happening anymore. I'm going to sacrifice my predictions league for the good of the team. I'm going to predict stupid results every week because I swear every single time I've thought, oh yeah, I think we can win this one. So it's not happening.
There you go. He's taking one for the team. I
Not
hope the
the
listeners
first
appreciate that.
Hey Chase, you don't be divulging information on live on air, please. All right, and on that note, we're going to end this before Jay says something silly and gets me in trouble. So thank you very, very, very much for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Good night.
No, you cheeky monkeys. Come on, you Arsenal. Has everybody answered that? Dave, did you answer it?
Yeah, I was a Wobie.
Okay.
He's gone Dalek on us again.
He's gone all Dalek. What's going on?
I've got no phone anymore. Hang on. I'll unplug and plug again.
Okay. Right.
Oh.
Just in case I have to edit that bit out. Listeners, if I leave this bit in, it means Dave has sorted it out. If I edit this bit out, then you won't know because I've edited it out. Is he back? Has he plugged it back in yet? Are you okay, Dave?
Can't hear nothing now.
No, now he's gone quiet.
Oh no, we can see him.
This is going to be an edit job.
We can't hear you.
It's all gone quiet.
It says here we've got
all gone quiet over there.
It says here we've got one person viewing. I think that might be me. So if I go and close that other window, it should.
How long have we been going for?
About an hour and 25 minutes.
All right, let's start to wrap this show up.
Oh, Dave's getting angry. He's going to pick the monitor up and throw it.
I tell you what, I'd pay good money to watch that. He's such a gentleman.
No, he's still got nothing.
He is a gentleman, though. He's brilliant, isn't he?
Oh,
Look at him, look. Poor
Oh,
old
you can
Dave.
hear us.
I saw an F-bomb. I saw an F-bomb. That's in the sweater.
Dave would never use such language.
I'm pretty sure he did, to be fair.
Dave, put the thumbs up if you can hear us. You can hear us, can't you?
Yay!
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, never mind.
What
Get
it
around
does
it.
that?
It's all right. We can edit it out. We'll give him a couple of minutes. I'm gonna go have a piss while he does this.
Okay.
To be fair, boys, I've been back and forth to the toilet tonight.
That's old age, Jace.
This is not good.
Thanks for that. I'll leave that bit out.
Yeah, you better, lad. Oh, I tell you. Oof. It's not good, lads. I tell you what, boys. If we can beat Swansea in the weekend now.
Oh,
okay.
they're the modern Bolton. They're our bogey team.
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they've been great recently. A lot of the boys are saying they've been playing poor football. They really have been playing poor football.
Yeah, that might do it, Dave. I don't know why I keep calling him Dave. God, why do I do that? I don't suppose I know any Davids, do I? Oh, it's annoying. So I can call you Jason, so I don't think it matters.
Does he like to get called David or Dave?
Doesn't mind.
Doesn't mind, does he?
Yeah, no, doesn't mind at all.
Like, I don't like anything other than Danny.
Oh, really?
No.
Hey!
David, have you got? I'm decided I'm going to call you David from now on because that's your name. Your headphones that you've got, are they USB or are they DIN ones with a little 3.5? Huh?
No, the headphones are just DIN. The microphone is USB.
Oh, so you've got a separate bits.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the
Send him
microphone is supposed to be a pro job.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
It does sound very good, David. I've got to be honest with you.
If you need, Dave, we can send you the headsets that we use, the USB headsets with the built-in microphone and headset all in one.
Oh, probably you can buy them, can't you?
Yeah, well, you're one of us. You don't pay for stuff. We pay for it. We've got £800. We had £800 donated this year.
Send him a pair down, mate. That's it.
Oh yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, well, after this, let me know your address and we'll get you some, and they'll be with you on Monday.
Well done. No, it's great stuff. Thank you.
Lovely. That's all right. Well, thank the listeners. I would say fans, but that sounds pretentious.
Yeah.
Where were we, Danny? Where do we pick up from?
Right. It was the question was about who do we play on the right hand side? I'll just go to. Right, then if you just say right, next question. Hold on, I'm gonna burp now. I've been drinking fizzy orange. Oh, pardon me.
Beautiful.
You had just asked me, so if I just say it will be and cut away and carry on.
I'll go before that. I'll cut it off after Jace was speaking, and then Dom, if you just go right, next question. I've got to find one. So we've got one. Oh, apparently this is Robert Perez's birthday today. Yeah, I'll ask that one. Should we finish it off on? It's Robert Perez's birthday today. What's your favourite memory of his time at Arsenal? Would that be a good one to finish it on, Dom?
Yeah, let's do that.
Someone says, can we get Reyes back on a short-term deal? Actually, I've got one other one first. It's where's it from? From Janseb Shaheen. Can Jason play right wing?
No.
Anywhere.
My knees are smashed, boys.
Only if you can pick it up and run with it.
I tell you what. Oh, I remember the first time I played football. I used to kick the shit out of everyone. It was great.
It's not very gentlemanly.
That doesn't surprise me. All right, let's get this show on the road.
Right.
Okay, so you say one final question, and then I'll go from there.
All right.